and welcome back to my channel, She Sews Happiness. I'm Mary Ellen, for those of you who have not been here before. For those of you that have, you'll notice that I'm currently fighting off a cold and a bit of a sore throat, so I will have to make a little bit of effort to be quite clear and not cough throughout this video. Thank God I've learned the art of editing, but I'm here to share with you today what I've been making in the month of February. There's not an awful lot to share because February for me work-wise has been a pretty heavy intensive month, hence losing my voice and suffering from the cold that I'm currently trying to fight off. So yeah, I haven't sewn as much as what I would have liked to have sewn or as much as I usually would sew. Nevertheless, I do have quite a few beautiful new garments added into my me-made wardrobe. I say me-made wardrobe, but really that's all I've got, because over the last few months I have cleared out pretty much 90% of my ready-to-wear wardrobe. I have very little of it left because I just wasn't reaching for it anymore. More and more I gravitate only to the garments that I have made. And that's because I suppose when I was putting on a ready-to-wear garment, I was noticing all the flaws and the sizing, even the poor pattern matching and things were really frustrating me. So I cleared a lot of it out, and really all I've got left is a couple of dresses and a lot of knitwear, because cardigans and things like that, even though I make them, are always really, really useful. And I probably haven't sewn up enough to get rid of my well-loved ready-to-wear cardigans. So without further ado then, and I am aware that my voice will go if I don't get on with it, I'm going to share with you what I have been making this month. So the first thing I made was the Scout dress, a pattern from Gertie's Patreon projects from last year, and I had made this previously when it was released last summer as part of the Surrey Create the Look challenge. I've always loved vintage shirtwaist dresses, and I'd always kind of planned for the last year or so to add one of those to my wardrobe, and so I finally got around to it with Gertie's release of the Scout dress, and so I made myself a classic black shirtwaist dress. So I'll show you a picture here because I think in black you really do see the structure of this dress much clearer than what you will in the version I've made this month. So it's a classic button-up shirtwaist dress. The original pattern came with like puff sleeves, but again I just changed it out because I do tend to layer my garments, and living in Ireland, weather is never so good that you're not at least throwing a light cardigan on top of it. So I switched out the puff sleeves and I drafted just a normal short sleeve for my dress, and again I've carried that into the version I've made this month. The feature that I love most about the Scout dress is actually this really full circle slash pleated skirt, which takes up so much fabric, it's unreal. However, it's really effective, and you can't help but, you know, appreciate how much fabric you've used when you get that beautiful silhouette. Now, when it came to making my version this month, I did have to change up the skirt. So I wanted a floral version of the dress, and in order to do so, the pattern called for much, much more fabric than I actually had intended to use. So I had about 5 meters of a fabric, but it was only 44 inches wide, so it just could not accommodate the fullness of the skirt. So I just mixed it up and I added a gathered skirt to the pattern instead. So I'll pop a picture in here for you to see. And I still think it's a really lovely dress. It's not just as impactful, I think, as the version I made before, but it's an everyday office, weekend, it's really suitable for anything. So it's going to get an awful lot of wear in my wardrobe. From there, I then moved on to the latest release from Tilly and the Buttons, which was the Pearl Cardigan. And I made this in a rust shade Ponte Roma, which I got from Jenny Stitches Fabrics. And I absolutely love this pattern. I've worn this now several times, and I won't go into too many details about it because I'll just pop a link in the description box below of a video I've previously made about the pearl cardigan. Needless to say, I love it. And I actually have made a second version. It's not a version I've shared on my Instagram grid or anything like that. By the way, if you don't follow me over on Instagram, my handle is the same as my channel name. It's just She Sews Happiness, and I'd love it if you would find me over there, because actually that's where you'll find lots of pictures of my makes, and maybe I'm only slotting one in here, but you'll see different pictures and perspectives of my makes over on Instagram. But yes, I did make a second version. It's not on the grid. I'm not going to show it here either because actually I haven't taken a picture of it. I basically pulled out all of the Ponte Roma black remnants I had in my stash, and they're all slightly different shades, so it's not a garment for wearing out and about or anything like that. I just wear it at home when I'm working away on my laptop, or even just when I'm sewing and creating something as just an extra cozy layer. But it's really, really lovely. And it was just a really good scrap busting project because the pattern doesn't call for a lot of fabric. It does suggest, I think, about 2 meters, but I think I get mine out of about 1.4 when the fabric is 60 inches wide. And the Ponte Romas that I've been sewing with lately have been 60 inches wide. So yeah, I used up all those scraps, and that always just feels really good to me. So it's not just stuff that is piling up and not being used. And I do have a box there, and I try not to add to it anymore. And in fact, I need to really go through that and see what I can use up in a more rewarding way. So yeah, I made 2 of those, and my March plans will probably include another one. Not from scraps, but from a beautiful new fabric that I have recently acquired. So I made my scout dress, I made my pearl cardigan. What did I make after that? Oh yes, because speaking of those Ponte Roma scraps, another thing I made in the month of February was going back again to Gertie's Patterns, to her Patreon. It was the Joan wiggle dress. Now, I have made a version of it before when it was released in January. I jumped right off the mark and I made this chevron stripe version in a orange and black Ponte Roma, just with the black skirt then attached. And in spite of all of my fears and in spite of me thinking I could not pull off a wiggle dress in my current shape, I loved it, and I've worn it now quite a few times, so I thought I definitely needed another one in my wardrobe, and I've added this almost herringbone effect black and red version to my wardrobe, and these have become staples in my work wardrobe, and I would say it won't be the last one that I make. So I absolutely love it. I think for me that was a turning curve in accepting my body as it is now. I have had quite a strange relationship with my body over the last 15, even 20 years. I was always someone who carried weight. I've always been really healthy though, so it was never an unhealthy amount of weight because I would run, I would play sports, I would go to the gym, but I always just kind of was a curvy girl and still am, obviously, you know. But throughout my 20s, I did let a lot of negative comments get to me to the point where I would say I had a disorder. I became incredibly thin. We're talking like a UK size 6 to 8. My body mass was probably about half of what it is now. And I didn't see it then, but I was dangerously, dangerously thin. I was eating less than half of the recommended calories for a woman a day, but also working out to the point that I was burning all of those calories and more to sustain that figure that I had. And yes, there was always something really empowering about being that petite size 6, 8, whatever, but only in recent years have I really come to terms with healthy body image. And while I looked, for all intents and purposes, amazing, and I met societal expectations of me, I did not have a healthy body, nor did I have a healthy relationship with my body. it was empowering to be able to pull on whatever I wanted and feel amazing. And for a few years, as I started to put that weight back on and come to terms with that again, I would not have had the confidence to wear the Joan Wiggle dress. But I have now come to the conclusion that perhaps it was the fact that the ready-to-wear clothing did not fit properly, and that maybe contributed to my inability to wear those things. And now that I can make my clothes to fit my very specific measurements, I do think I can wear a lot more than what I would have worn even 2-3 years ago before I started sewing. So a lot of body positivity has come from sewing, and yeah, I'm able now to go out even to work in that dress and not feel self-conscious much, but have the mental ability to convince myself to do that, which is a power in itself. And so I always do say that sewing is a superpower, and for me that is so true, so absolutely true. And I do have more confidence in myself than what I had before I started sewing. So yeah, anyhow, I digress. Back to what I was making in the month of February. The next thing then that I made, and again I do have a vlog on this pattern, was the chalk and notch fringe dress. I've always loved William Morris, whether that be his writings or just his aesthetic and interiors and furnishing and things like that. But I've never really felt the need to be that bold in my interiors, but I'm much, much bolder in my wardrobe choices than I am in my home furnishing choices. So finally I have got a little bit of William Morris print in my wardrobe, and this is my fringe dress. A pattern that I did make previously, and this time I decided I want it much more fitted, so I have downsized and I like it even more than what I did the first time I made it, when it did have quite a lot of ease built in. I think because I'm used to wearing vintage silhouettes 90% of the time, I do prefer to have a nice cinched fit and flare garment. So for me, there was just a bit too much ease in the fringe dress as it is intended, so I decided to take that out, and this is what I have been left with. So yeah, absolutely love this pattern, and I loved the fabric, which was a Rami Tencel blend from Pigeon Wishes. So is that where I stopped? No, there was one more thing then that I did work on this month. It started off as a toile in just a cotton fabric, which I have shared in a previous video, and that was the Friday Pattern Company Patina Blouse. Definitely toiled it because, again, with button-ups, you want to make sure you don't have that ghastly gape. So yeah, after a toile, I made it in a gorgeous, in fact, it's still sitting there because I haven't worn it out yet. I have to make a skirt to go with it, but that's going to be March's sewing plans. So I made the Patina Blouse in that beautiful dead stock rose print fabric from Missy Mop fabrics, and loved it so much that I immediately decided I needed to make another one. So I used a fabric, and I'm going to pop in a picture here, that a good friend of mine actually had sent me as a gift. The buttons were also sent by her as well. And between the two of them, I did actually perform a full bust adjustment. Now, there was no gape after my first toile, but what I did discover, because, and I always forget about this, is that I do tend to wear more minimizer bras on a daily basis. So when I went to put on the second version, technically the third, because my toile was actually wearable, and that never happens to me. But when I went to put it on, I was wearing, I believe, a Wonder bra. And when I had a different bra on, there was a bit of tension here. So just so that I could wear whatever bra I wanted, I decided to perform a full bust adjustment on the front pattern piece. And if that's something you need to do, and maybe you're a little bit worried about how to do it, because I was worried, I'd only ever performed full bust adjustments on bodices for dresses, never a full length blouse piece or anything like that. So if you go to my Patina Blouse review, you'll get a wee idea of how I did that. And it's really just performing an FBA as you always do. There's just a couple of wee things that you need to be aware of before you start. So absolutely love this pattern. Yvette from Blossom Sandwich did say to me the other day, you know, oh, I think I'll probably see you making a hack of this and turning it into a dress. And it never even crossed my mind actually until she said it. Because I do have a couple of, you know, shirt dresses that I like, but maybe that's something I will do in the future, just now that she's planted the seed in my head. Thanks, Yvette. Always giving me work to do. But yeah, that's really my roundup of what I have made in the month of February. And as I say, it's not a lot actually compared to what I usually make, but I'm really satisfied with what I did achieve in what was a horrifically stressful, annoying month at work. So I don't know about you, I'm kind of missing the old lockdown days a little bit. I definitely miss working from home. The extra hour and a half that I gained every day, whether that be from not having to commute to work or just being able to use my lunch break in a more rewarding manner than sitting eating my salad or some pasta or whatever at the desk. Yeah, I do miss those days. And I do feel like I accomplished an awful lot more, even in terms of just getting chores and stuff done while I was working from home. And I miss that. I haven't quite rebalanced yet. Saying that, I can't wait to get out the other side of the pandemic and not having to take a lateral flow test every time I have a cough or a sneeze or generally a sore throat, which I get quite a lot. And I do attribute that to the really poor ventilation in my building at work. So yeah, it's one of those things I have to suffer just so that I can make money to enjoy my hobbies. There's part of me would just love to not go to work anymore. But you know, I think I would get bored of that too. I need a better balance, perhaps that's what I need. And I just need to focus more on adjusting. And I think again, you know, with the winter kind of coming closer to an end and the light evenings making an appearance again, I think I'll be a little bit more motivated because I'll be out and about a lot more too. I just find in winter I don't achieve as much as what I would at any other time of the year. And there is a certain lethargy that kicks in. But we're almost there. We're coming out the other side. And hopefully I will achieve a lot more next month. And maybe try out a couple of new patterns. So there'll be a few toiles I think necessary going forward. And I'm sure I'll share with you my sewing plans for the month of March pretty soon. So have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy what's left of it. I know there's not very much left. That really fills me with dread. I did work all day yesterday, so this has been my only real day. Monday morning just seems far too near for my liking. But nevertheless, we go forward. Thank you so much for watching this video. I apologise for my voice or lack of. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please do. I get really excited actually when people subscribe because I feel like I'm saying something somebody somewhere is benefiting from. And do hit the notification tab there and you will be notified the next time I post a video. So thank you so much again for stopping by. Happy stitching and bye bye.